How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Known here, and welcome back to another episode of Geeking Out, where we basically discuss everything nerd and geek related. I'm joined here by some returning Geeking Out guests, Bob, Karen, and Myron, and we are going to be talking about comic book origin villain movies. If you're familiar with them, you know that Sony has done two so far, going on their third one with Kraven, and then DC has only done two with Todd Phillips, um Joker, and then the DC EU with Black Adam, because since that's part of the Aquaman, the Wonder Woman, the
Mhm.
Batman, which that never went anywhere once they basically said to Cavill, "Yeah, by the way, we just wanted you for this quick cameo. We don't need you anymore."
Mhm.
And now Superman's being replaced with another actor,
Wow.
Henry. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
heard. Thanks.
it's
Bye.
it's crazy. So yeah, just like with how they're doing these Disney origin villain movies, now we're getting these Marvel or these comic book ones. First portrayed as villains in the comics, now they're basically anti-heroes. And the ones we're gonna be talking about is in order from Venom. We're not gonna talk about the sequel. Joker, which is getting a sequel, but we're not going to talk
Really?
about that one. Yeah, Joker is going to be more of a musical type film with has Lady Gaga in it.
Oh wow.
Morbius, which never got a sequel because we all know how that one, even despite even despite how that film got reshown in theaters, and Black Adam, which who knows what's going to happen now that James Gunn is taking over the DC comic book universe. I'll start with you, Myron, since you have not been on. What did you think of the Venom movie compared to how he was shown in the comics?
Okay. Um, I liked it, but comparing it with what happened in the comics, and I was introduced to Venom through the comics, but I got to know Venom through the cartoon.
Oh, the
I mean,
animated series?
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I mean, enough to be a little, you know me. I had to go through my whole this, oh, you changed this thing, so I'm mad. I believe I've left those days behind. I say believe because not to get off subject, but when the Rise of the Beast trailer for Transformers came out, that scab was ripped off when I saw that Mirage had Jazz's body. But anyway, so you know I knew enough about Venom to be a little bit upset when Eddie Brock had like red or brown hair in the cartoon and not blonde hair. Anyway, it was a good movie. I liked it, but there's always going to be that part of me that is upset that they didn't wait to incorporate it into the Spider Verse. Not like the Into the Spider Verse like with Miles Morales, but
But just in general.
right because so much of Venom's story is tied to Spider Man,
Oh yeah.
and both Venom and Eddie Brock's hatred of Spider Man. So for them to do a whole movie separate from Spider Man, setting up Venom is like,
Yeah, no, I hear that.
yeah, if you don't like if you ignore that, it's a good movie. Like I don't think that makes it a bad movie ignoring that, but people who have been fans of Venom for a long time, and I'm not going to say I'm the biggest Venom fan, but let's just say when I went to go buy a Spider-Man related shirt when I was younger, I chose Venom and not Spider-Man. If I'm wearing that shirt and someone says, "Hey, you got a Spider-Man shirt?" No, it's a Venom shirt. So I like Venom to that degree, but I'm not gonna say I'm the biggest Venom fan, but I do think that big Venom fans would be disappointed that wait a minute, this isn't tied to Spider-Man at all. Like that just kind of I don't know, it kind of diminishes his whole story. Like it's one thing to change something to make it up to date. It's one thing to make a little change over here just to fit some other part of the universe you've established. But that's a big ass change.
Oh yeah.
So to just kind of expect people to just be like, oh, we're just gonna roll with this. Yeah, I mean we did, but I don't think we should have had to. I would have been happy waiting a few more years if they would, just so they can be able to properly do that.
Oh, you know how Sony is when it comes to
Yeah,
their. I
yeah.
mean, I think the first time we actually got to see a live action Venom fighting Spider-Man was the not so holy crap, let's just add every villain Spider-Man 3, where Topher Grace played as Eddie Brock.
Don't get
That
me
70s show.
don't get me started on that one. Oh my God.
I mean,
Oh, I
I
was,
mean,
have you guys seen Predators?
Yes.
So that was my no, that wasn't my introduction to Topher Grace, but I did that was my first time seeing Topher Grace and knowing it's Topher Grace. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that was Venom? And it just seeing him there. I mean, he did a good job. He's a good actor, but just seeing him and then realizing that that was the guy that played Venom, I was like, no wonder I didn't like him as Venom. I feel like
oh
I feel like not. I'm not saying Topher would have made a good Spider-Man, but he would have made a better Spider-Man than he would have than he would have
no,
Venom.
I mean, you see, you think Eddie Brock, you think muscular, not this
Yes,
scrawny. Anyway,
X fucking exactly. And that I'm sorry, I just had one last thought. Now that you say that, I do love Tom Hardy. I do love him as an actor. I also don't think he body wise was right for Venom
I
because
mean,
again,
oh no,
Eddie
I
Brock
agree.
was a whole lot bigger than Peter Parker was. He was already like you said, big, swole, and buff. And I feel weird saying this because like I spend so much time defending cosplayers for not being, for not fitting the part physically. And I always say, hey, this isn't a movie audition. Cosplay isn't a movie audition. Cosplay isn't a lookalike contest. So I'm saying this the right way because I'm talking about someone who actually is playing the person in the movie, and I still feel guilty about saying he don't look right, but I still feel that he doesn't look right. I'm like, we needed someone who
Oh,
would have been bigger than whoever Spider-Man would have been, someone a little. So I think muscular. I mean, he's got a good build, but he's just not big. Like, what is he? 5'9", 5'8", 5'9", or whatever.
I mean,
And Eddie Brock was at least a good 6'2", something like that. But
see,
yeah,
I mean, this is like, yeah, no, I'm trying to set. I
let
can't
me
find
see.
the suit at the moment, but um, yeah, no, I was also just looking up a quick fun fact
Oh, he was
about
6'3", 6'3", and 260. Good Lord. Okay.
I
Worse
was
than I thought.
I was just looking up real quick about Venom. He was first introduced. His first appearance was in the Amazing Spider-Man number 252 in May of 1984 as the alien costume. He had a
Right.
cameo appearance in the Amazing Spider-Man 299 of April of 88, but his full appearance was in the Amazing Spider-Man number 300 in May of 1988. The alien costume version was created by Randy Schuler, Roger Stern, Tom DeFalco, Mike Zeck, Ron Friends. Venom was Dave Michelin and Todd McFarlane. I'm not even trying to pronounce some of
Mm.
these names. Karen, um, what did you think when you saw the Venom movie when that came out compared to if you ever read the comics?
Um, I mean, yeah, I kind of agree he didn't fit the build or like the kind of aesthetic look or like because I grew up with the video games playing that on like the Xbox and PS2 and stuff, so it was just very different. And yeah, I didn't like how they separated him from Spider-Man because that's pretty much what makes Venom Venom is
Right.
Spider-Man has to be his nemesis. So it's like it was
Man.
funny, but it wasn't like
I mean, you got to admit though, the suit, the Venom,
the suit
like
was cool.
the
Yeah.
symbiote was
I
pretty
liked Venom's
badass.
personality, but not Eddie's.
I mean, I'll be showing a bigger picture, but you got to admit the way they made the symbiote for Venom was pretty
Was
badass.
awesome. Yes, I agree. Just could have been executed just a little differently. I'm not saying it sucked. It just I
Yeah.
like most movies that other people don't, but it's like you can always do a little bit better. Stop
Yeah,
rushing stuff. Take your time.
Right.
no, I agree. I mean, I'm
Baby,
not
you
sure
can
if
do it.
I
Take your
mean
time, do
Tom
People
Hardy
it. All
can
right.
wait.
before that, years prior, he he did the physical look of Bane
Right.
in the Nolan versus Batman. So this is like his second time playing as a comic book character, villain, mind you, versus Bane, but that was more of a what if Batman was real type thing. This was,
Yeah.
and isn't like Eddie Brock, wasn't he like originally blonde? I know Tom Hardy's like a dirty blonde.
Yes, I believe Venom is blonde. Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, Eddie Brock. Yeah, here's just like one of his original appearances. Like this is like,
Yeah.
but I know that's
Yeah.
not always
Yeah.
easy to translate well
Yeah,
onto
Joe.
like trying to find someone who's like that.
Yeah, it might be a little difficult.
Yeah. Because I
The
think it would
football
have.
player kind of bodybuilder type
Yeah.
Again, no
who doesn't have an Austrian accent.
again, no disrespect to this you know actor right here. Tom Hardy's a good actor, but I feel like and I'm sure you all can agree that it's not always easy to translate comic book characters onto like live action big screen or TV series.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta cut some corners there. I mean, that's like the whole Hugh Jackman Wolverine argument. Like,
Oh yeah,
those of us, yeah,
Wolverine's
those of
like
us
what,
who,
4 foot something. Hugh Jackman's
yeah,
like
5'5".
yeah, I think he's been listed as like 5'3", and I'm like,
5'5".
you're not gonna find you're not gonna find a believable actor that's that short that we're gonna take seriously. So I was like, I can forgive them for going taller.
That
But
would definitely be made for an interesting movie.
It depends
Yeah.
on whether Daniel Radcliffe can do a convincing Canadian accent.
Yeah.
true.
Oh
true.
yeah. Wolverine is 5'3".
5'3", okay.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman.
6'1", 6'2".
I mean, there are like, yeah, Hugh
Yeah,
Jackman.
I mean, I'm like, he don't need to be 5'3", but he
yeah,
needs to at
Hugh
least
Jackman
look.
is six. Hugh Jackman
Average
is
height.
yeah. Hugh Jackman
Yeah,
is like 6'3". So
I
he's
still
a
need
foot.
him.
He's literally a foot taller than
So he,
comic
so
Yeah,
Wolverine.
the funny
Radcliffe is
thing
5'4".
he, so Hugh Jackman is the height of Cyclops, but in the movies, the James was it
Marsden.
James Marsden? Yeah,
He was
so
like
he's
a
shorter. He's
he was
shorter than Hugh
shorter
Jackman.
because you saw the part where he was like looking down.
Yeah,
at-
I just need whatever the height is. The next Wolverine, I just need him to have to look up at least a little bit at Cyclops. Because in the comics, Cyclops is a whole foot taller than Wolverine. So like that, I need that dynamic a little bit, even if it's only like this. I don't expect this, but can we at least get that? Maybe. Right.
Mention under eye level.
Right.
Bob, on to you. I know I'm not sure if you've seen the movie, but what did you think when you heard about the Venom movie compared to what you were seen in the comics?
I've seen Venom. I haven't seen a lot of them in the comics, but I saw the movie. And when I first heard that it was going to be in a world separate from Spider-Man / MCU, I was kind of skeptical because like Karen and Myron said, he's kind of innately tied to Spider-Man in his origin and his background, and I saw the movie and they, as far as they could, I think they made it work.
Yeah.
They had to, and Tom Hardy did a good job with the Eddie Brock that he was given, because this is clearly a different Eddie Brock than the one from the comics and the animated shows. And thanks to the post-credit scene in Spider-Man No Way Home, we may actually see a more comic accurate Venom in one of the next Spider-Man films. So, I just look at that. It is what it is. It's something separate. Somebody made that kind of point to me about the Catwoman movie with Halle Berry. If it just assume it's an Elseworlds story and not having necessarily anything to do with the Catwoman you're familiar with, then the only problem I have with that movie is too many cat jokes.
Just like too many ice puns in Batman and Robin.
Not
Ooh.
that is one of the few things about that movie that I don't have a complaint with. But as far as this Venom, I kind of think, okay, this is this world's Eddie Brock, this world's Venom. How are they developing it? It's actually I was actually okay with how it was at that level. So and it still had its emotional core, and its the Easter eggs to various events in Venom's story from the comics, and a number of other things. Even had a reference, if I remember right, that might give us Man-Wolf at some point in the not too distant future, because we had the astronaut named Jameson, who would probably be John Jameson, son of J. Jonah Jameson,
Oh,
who
that's
is
right. I
Man-Wolf.
remember first seeing him
Nice,
in
okay.
one of the newer Spider-Man animated TV shows where they introduced. I mean, we know we saw him as Spider-Man 2, but I remember the animated episode where he does turn into that werewolf thing, and he blames Spider-Man, and the Avengers.
Yeah, so
Mm.
but we may get on that, and so I thought it was actually a fairly good movie. Not much of a retelling of Venom's origin, but it was an origin for this version of Venom.
No, I agree. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember my first introduction. I'm just gonna go real quick here. My first introduction to Venom was the Spider-Man the animated series from the 90s. So I
Yeah.
was introduced to like big buff Eddie Brock and all those, like how they made all the characters look buff, like Tombstone and all them.
Yeah.
That was my introduction to Venom, was the big, how that Eddie Brock basically looked like he was from the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um that's all I have to, that's all I have to say. I'm just gonna give
Gotcha.
my quick 2 cents on from what I've seen like in trailers and everything, because I still haven't seen like Morbius or Black Adam.
No,
Which
one more thing I just thought about. I think they, with whoever the villain was in Venom, I forgot. It was one of the other symbiotes. It wasn't. It was because of course Carnage was the one in the second one, but
think it was
I think
not anti venom, but it was like the white. I know they
yeah, I
had
think it was
Shriek.
it was Riot, I think,
Uh,
It
but
was.
yeah. So like
It
that
was.
was yeah. So there's been a recycled theme when it comes to superhero or anti-hero movies. So um Iron Man's first villain was I forgot the guy
oh yeah, right.
Jebediah Stane or whatever.
Obadiah
I'm
Stane.
yeah. So he was basically fighting another Iron Man suit. We get what's another one that did? Oh, Hulk with Hulk fought Abomination, another offshoot of not offshoot of Hulk, but
Another
he
version.
yeah,
Yeah.
Another gamma
Superman
radiated
versus General Zod.
super beast.
right. Even Black Panther, T'Challa was fighting Killmonger,
Yeah, his cousin.
somebody else with the heart
Yeah,
shaper power, somebody else with the
I have
suit.
I have noticed that in Superman with Zod
Hmm.
and Man of Steel. They're the kind of the same person, but one has, as people call it, plot armor.
Yeah, yeah. And then what? Ant-Man fought Yellow Jacket,
Yeah,
same almost same powers. Only Yellow Jacket can fly, he can't.
yeah.
I mean,
It's a comic book thing, especially with these origin films. Whether
shoot,
it's for the
Wolverine Origins, Sabretooth is the antagonist. I mean, he's not the big bad at the end, but he's one of the main antagonists throughout the movie. So I'm
pretty,
like, can we get rid of the whole the hero is gonna fight somebody who's just like him thing?
it's kind of a thing, and that's what they're like well, I wouldn't say that for Morbius or Joker, especially Joker, and I'm not
Yeah,
sure about Black Adam because again, I
Black
love
Adam was originally designed as kind of the opposite side of
Shazam.
Billy Batson's Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're technically in one, I think, comic or something, they were supposed to be twins or whatever. But like with the Rock's version and Zachary Levi's version, it's like that doesn't really work.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Be twins.
Next up, going on this, chronological thing, The Joker by Todd Phillips. Myron, thoughts on when you saw trailers for The Joker and thoughts on when Joaquin Phoenix was taking up the mantle of this is a different type of Joker too, mind you, not the one
Yeah,
where we're
yeah.
introduced where he was first introduced in DC Comics #1, where he was this man on a mission just to cause chaos.
Yeah, I didn't really have any expectations going into it just because I'm not anti DC. I'm just more pro Marvel. So I'm not as invested in DC, so I don't particularly care when things don't go right. So I'm also, because I'm not so invested, I also don't know what they are and aren't getting right. I mean, I knew enough to know that, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it, the whole plot twist where Joker was, what was it? What was he, like Batman's half brother or something?
Oh, that was it wasn't retcon, but it turns out that yeah, no, Arthur was not related, is not the son of Thomas Wayne.
Okay,
It
okay.
it was because his mother had mental health issues, so she was
Hmm.
thinking that, oh, I supposedly slept with Thomas Wayne, so you're
Okay,
technically his
okay.
son. Yeah, no.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I think I knew enough. I know enough about Joker to know that that probably wasn't his origin, his original origin in the
Mhm.
comics. But other than that, like I don't know enough to be pissed off at a change because I may not even know that there was a change in
Oh
there.
yeah,
I
no.
do think it was an interesting take on him, which I did enjoy that take on it. Um, I thought Joaquin did a good job of what he was given there. That was pretty amazing. Um, yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say um about Joker. It was just more like, okay, I enjoyed it for what it was, and again, I'm not invested enough to know what they got wrong or got right. That was the same thing for me with when the first Avengers movie. I was When it comes to Marvel, yeah, I'm pro Marvel, but within Marvel, I'm pro X-Men. Everybody else is secondary to me. So I go to see Avengers, and it's so good that I'm like, I want this to be on Blu-ray now. Like I'm saying that as I'm walking out of the theater, but I'm also low-key pissed off because I'm like, this is what my X-Men should have been. Why didn't y'all give them this? This is
You
what
gotta
X-Men should
remember,
have been.
Fox got the rights to X-Men
Right, right,
first,
right, right.
and
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
like, and that's like that was like pre-MCU too.
yeah, yeah. Back then, I didn't know that that's why that happened. Like I know that now, but back then I was like, really, y'all could have done my X-Men this way, but the other thing was it was ignorance is bliss for me because whatever they changed for the Avengers, like I would find out after the fact that the 6 Avengers that were in the movie were not the original 6 from the comics, things like that. So I didn't know any of that going in. So I didn't I didn't know enough to be mad at anything, if that makes sense.
No,
So
that's fair.
yeah, so same thing with Joker, and probably I know I'm jumping ahead, but same thing with Black Adam. Like I don't know enough about these to be mad at anything that got changed.
That's fair. Honestly, I mean, if you think about it, imagine if I mean, and speaking of, how the Avengers weren't those Avengers weren't the original Avengers from the comics. Same with the X-Men.
Yeah,
The original X-Men were the Uncanny X-Men, were like half. You don't see half those characters until like later on in the other films, but they're
And
not.
we never
right,
see
right,
all 5 of the original X-Men in the same in the same scene.
Yeah,
right,
no.
right,
They're all in X3, but they never all meet each other.
right, right. Yeah, and I knew going into that movie that they couldn't have just same with the cartoon. I knew enough. I had just came into the comics right before the cartoon came out. I knew enough to know that we weren't getting the original X-Men roster, that would go on to be X
Oh
Factor
no, we
2.
probably won't see that for a long time.
Yeah,
Whenever.
yeah. So I knew they had to go with who I knew they had to go with a hot hand. I knew they had to go with who was hot in the comics at the time, as opposed to, hey, let's go all the way back to back when nobody cared about them, you know. So
No, yeah. I mean, we got a comic book accurate looking Charles Xavier and Multiverse of Madness, and we're getting a comic accurate Wolverine in the Deadpool 3 movie.
We
there
got
we
a
go.
cartoon accurate Xavier in
that
in Multiverse of Madness.
We did, yes, yes.
Because
When
he
that
was
chair came
already
through,
comic book accurate.
yes, yes.
Karen, I almost called you Sam. Sorry.
It's okay. It
Um,
happened.
Karen, same question. You saw Joker, right?
Yeah,
What
for the
did
most
you
part.
what did you think of it? I know you like you and you and your family are big on DC and Marvel. And I know
Yeah.
you and your sister are definitely big on like the DC train. What did you
Yes.
think of this Joker compared to if you ever read the comics?
Oh, I love the comics of the Joker. I actually quite liked it because it was very different. It showed more of his like, I guess, mental state of how he kind of got where he did, instead of showing like what physically happened to him and stuff like that. So I just like it wasn't repetitive like what we've seen Joker do before. It didn't introduce Harley yet, or like really get there. So yeah, it was just I like how it was very different, and he did an excellent job. And it was just not the Joker we're used to seeing.
Yeah,
No.
That's what I like about superhero movies. Keep it different. That's why
yeah.
Kick-Ass is one of my favorite superhero anti kind of movies, because it's just
Mm.
very different.
It's more of what would it be like
Yeah.
if things like that exist in the real world, like with Heath
Yeah,
Ledger's
Yeah,
like with
more
Heath
realistic.
like with Heath Ledger's Joker. That is a Joker, and plus Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger were good friends. So, I imagine like
Oh, yeah.
I could be wrong, but I'm sure
Mm.
like Joaquin was thinking the whole time of like, what would Heath Ledger think if he was to see me playing a character that he played as. But
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, and
I do like these.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say I do like I know I harp a lot on things that got changed, but I do love that. I do love when someone can change something and still keep the essence of who the character was. Like at no point did I see that movie and think that's not Joker. Joker wouldn't do that. Joker would totally do that.
Oh no,
It's
he
just a different
would.
take on it. Yeah, yeah.
No,
So
he
like
would.
if you can change something, like give us a different angle on it, but don't make us forget that it's that person. And so I agree with Karen.
I
Like
mean,
that they did a good job of changing it but still keeping it Joker.
oh yeah, no. I mean, they got like Joker's mental health right in a sense. They also got the fact they also pulled from the comics. Oh god, I can't remember the name of the comic, but it's like how he's like how he's a comedian, but he's not a great comedian. I can't remember which comic that was.
I think I know which one you're talking about, but I can't remember the name either.
Yeah. But overall, you did like the Joker film, and you think they got it pretty accurate to like how he is.
Yeah. So far, it seems to. Well, I mean, the other Jokers did a good job. But
the Killing Joke is what it's called.
oh yeah.
How they show Joker's like what happened before he, as I put it, he had some physical damage, along with some emotional damage. And in the Joker film, it was just all emotional damage.
Oh yeah,
Toxic is what changed him. Toxic Kim is what changed him. A toxic society is what changed him in this one. It's how I go into look. And I know everyone's opinions are different. I loved it when I saw it in theaters. I have it on DVD, but I have not like opened it to watch it. Like I have to feel like I have to be in like the right mindset to watch that movie again. I've only ever seen it once when it came out in theaters.
Fair.
Bob, same question. Thoughts on the Joker film from what you've seen, whether it was the film or the trailer, and compared to what you remember from the comics?
Yeah, I have not seen the Joker movie, so it's like I'm going based on trailers and clips and reviews from professionals and friends alike and so forth. But it's a little like what I said earlier about Catwoman, to try to divorce this from anything that actually is been done in comics. It'll have Easter eggs about stuff in comics, but it's kind of an Elseworlds Joker story. And I'm vaguely vaguely interested in watching that once they've gotten the issue resolved with She Who Must Not Be Named, and because until then I am anti-DC. But yeah, both Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix earned an Academy Awards for their portrayals of the Joker. But it seems like it's fairly good. It can explore some things that could apply to any other version of the Joker. I don't really have any major complaints about it. And not a whole lot of feedback since I haven't seen it. So.
I liked, as I mentioned, I did like the Joker movie. It was definitely different from what we've seen when we've seen Cesar Romero plays him in the 60s, what we saw Nicholson, what we saw Ledger, what we
Leto.
saw Leto, and what we saw, I can't remember his name, but he played his, well, not Joker, but Joker in the Gotham TV show.
Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah, how he played as both Jerome and Jeremiah. Like, again, they couldn't get the license for Joker, but they can get the licensing name for Riddler, Penguin, Bane, Solomon Grundy, Poison Ivy, all them, but like not like Joker for some reason. But we knew it was Joker, so like seeing Joaquin Phoenix's version, you know, and comparing it, because I would probably compare if I had in a different category, Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix would be in one because they're more realistic, and then you got the other ones who are, you know, vat of chemicals, bleach skin, just crazy as fuck.
Well, you know, they also have the animated and video game ones, Mark Hamill and I forget the name of the guy.